that's the first answer. So let's go on to the second answer. El Amaraba. So now we have a second answer. We're talking the case of the Mishnah is you're talking about a chicken which was set aside to be eaten. Okay? And the machlekes potentially is noilet because there's no muksa anymore. Because usually if it's set aside to be eaten, then it's not muksa, and the egg shouldn't be a problem either. Now, the case we're talking about is a case where it was Shabbos, and the Yom Tiv we're referring to as a Yom Tiv of a Sunday. So therefore, it was a Yom Tiv which had a Shabbos preceding it. And the problem is hachana. Now, and we'll see in a minute what the problem is. Now, hachana means is that we're not allowed to prepare from Shabbos to Yom Tiv, or also from Shabbos to weekday. We also not prepare from Shabbos into Yom Tiv. Now, what's the problem? Why is that? What does that have to do with an egg being laid on Sunday? What preparation are we doing or is being done on Shabbos? We hold that Rabbah held that any egg which is being laid on any single day, it started being formed on the day before. So if it was laid on Sunday, that means it was being formed in the hen the day before. The Rabbah, and therefore that's tachana. So if an egg is laid on Sunday, which is Yom Tiv, and I pick it up, this egg started being prepared on Shabbos. Therefore, it's the Isser of Achana. And Rabbah holds that Achana is Da'araisa. It's from the Torah. Dama Rabbah, my dechsev, why does it write V'haya b'yom hashishi, and it was on the sixth day V'chinu es asher yaviu, and they prepared that which they brought. So in the Midbar, there's a verse brought down that the children of Israel was talking about getting the Lechem Mishnah, getting the double portion of man, and it says, and they prepared on the sixth day for the next day. So we learn from Merchol Ma'ichin l'Shabbos. Weekday, of course, is permitted to prepare for Shabbos. V'chol Ma'ichin l'Yom Tiv, and I can prepare on a weekday for Yom Tiv. Ve'ein Yom Tiv Ma'ichin l'Shabbos. However, I'm not allowed to prepare Yom Tiv for Shabbos. Ve'ein Shabbos Ma'ichin l'Yom Tiv, and I cannot prepare Shabbos for and I cannot prepare Shabbos for Yom Tiv. So I can't prepare Yom Tiv for Shabbos. I can't prepare Shabbos for Yom Tiv. So it's a daraisa. We have a verse in the Torah informing us that achana is forbidden. So therefore, the egg which was laid on Sunday, which was only started being formed, which would mean it was started being formed on Shabbos, this egg is has the isra of achana on it because the preparation started on Shabbos. So Amalei Abaya. So Abaya asks a question on Rabbah. Elamiyata Yom Tiv ba'amat tishtari. You have a great scenario that you're talking about Yom Tiv, which falls out immediately after a Shabbos, meaning Yom Tiv is a Sunday and Shabbos. But if this is all true, Abaya asks, I don't understand. So a regular Yom Tiv during the weekday, which is not right after Shabbos, it should be permitted because there's no achana going on. The achana, the preparation for creating and forming the egg, was on a weekday. There's nothing wrong with that. Now we say Gezerah Mishum Yom Tiv Achar Shabbos. We have a Gezerah, we have a decree because we're afraid that if I eat an egg, if I move an egg or eat an egg on a regular weekday Yom Tiv, Yom Tiv is a Tuesday, and I'm allowed to eat the egg. Next time when Yom Tiv is on a Sunday, where there is preparation from Shabbos, I might come to actually make a mistake and eat it. Therefore, we have a decree. Whenever an egg is laid on Yom Tiv, it's forbidden because of that one scenario when it's a Sunday. Now we ask, Shabbos to Amat Tishtari. Okay, that's Yom Tiv. What about Shabbos? Every Shabbos of all, with any Shabbos, why are we also assuring an egg on Shabbos? And now we say, Shabbos Achar Yom Tiv. That's a decree for a Shabbos which has a Friday as a Yom Tiv. Because in that case, if an egg is laid on Shabbos, well, ends up happening is that preparations and the forming for the egg took place on Friday. And that's Yom Tiv. You're not supposed to prepare from Yom Tiv to Shabbos. And now we ask, Umi Gazrinan, and do we actually make that decree? But Tanu, we learned as follows: someone slaughters an egg, and they find fully formed eggs inside of it. Mutaris is achlan, is permitted to eat it on Yom Tiv. So one slaughters an egg on Yom Tiv, or one slaughters a chicken on Yom Tiv, is permitted to eat an egg which is found inside of it. Then Isa ligzar mishum hanach de mesialdim biyamehem. On that we say, but what do you mean? There should be a gezerah. I might come to eat when it's actually laid. So even though we're saying like this, there's halacha that if someone shechts a chicken and he finds a fully formed egg inside of it, it's permitted to eat that egg on Yom Tiv, right? So now that is not, for whatever the reason is, there's no problem of a chana in that case. However, we wanted to say that you should have a decree that you can't eat the egg, because in a case where the chicken actually lays it, that's going to be asur on Yom Tiv, right? On Yom Tiv, if a chicken.
Into being on Yom Tov itself.
Yes. So if.
Right, okay, I got it. I'm with you.
So therefore, we should have a decree. Why are we not decreeing an egg in a fully formed egg found inside a chicken because of due to a egg which is fully laid?
Well, why aren't you?
So the answer is Malay. Beitzim gemurais b'mei ima aman miltad le'shchichi. It's not a normal thing to find fully formed eggs in the mother's in a hen. Miltad le'shchicha le'gaz rabbanon, and therefore unusual cases the Gemara never makes a decree for. So that's the answer. So at the end of the day, our second answer, and this is the answer of Rabbah, the reason why in the Mishnah the egg is forbidden according to Beis Hillel is because of a chana, because of the issue of preparation. In the case when Yom Tov is a Sunday, in that case the egg will be forbidden because of a chana preparation from Shabbos. Therefore, in every across the board, we make a decree because of this one case, all eggs will always be forbidden if it is laid on Shabbos.
But if you find it inside, that's okay.
It's a good question. Why is it that if you find it inside, that is not a problem of achana? I guess because it's not fully. Hold on. I guess what I'm going to say is that even if it's fully formed and you find it in the hen, you don't know. At that point, maybe there's no achana because it was being formed today. Even though it's fully formed, it's only going to. I guess I don't know the answer. It could be because this egg is not going to. It's more from the egg actually is laid. So therefore, if you know that the egg's not going to be laid today, it must be that it started being formed after Shabbos. That, I'm assuming, is the answer. After Yom. It started being formed after Yom Tov. After Shabbos started. If someone, I assume if someone opens a hen and finds an egg fully formed, we could assume that it's not necessarily going to be laid immediately. It's just sitting there, and the whole forming of the egg started after Shabbos. That's fine. The whole issue is because of achana, because we are afraid, because you're not supposed to prepare from Shabbos to Yom Tiv, and any egg which is laid on Yom Tiv, according to Rabbah, it must have had some formation start on Shabbos itself. Okay, now. Okay, yeah. Now we have a third answer. Rav Yosef. We're on the bottom two lines of Beis Amud Beis. We're on 2b, and we're on the second to last line. The third answer. Rav Yosef. I'm Gzeir Mishum Peres Hanoishim. Rav Yosef holds the reason why our Mishnah forbids eggs is because it's a decree of fruit that fell from the tree on the fruits that fell from the tree on Yom Tov or Shabbos. The fruits that fall from the tree on Shabbos are forbidden, and this is similar. You have a fruit which is you have and also that. Yeah. So we can even talk about any chicken. It doesn't make a difference if we're talking about a chicken which is set aside to be eaten or set aside to lay eggs. So that doesn't make a difference. The problem is that it's similar to a case of fruits that fell from a tree on Shabbos. The fruits that fell from a tree on Shabbos Yom Tov are forbidden. You're not allowed to eat them. Now, you didn't pick them, so it shouldn't be a problem. Still, it's going to be forbidden. An egg that falls from I'll just use the word literally, it falls from a hen, it's very similar to a fruit that fell from a tree. Therefore, the rabbis are saying you might get mixed up between the two. Therefore, it'll be forbidden to eat the egg. So it's a derabanan, it's a decree. It's not a, now, meaning according to Rabbah, it was a daraisa. According to Rabbah, the main issue is on a Yom Tov, on a Sunday, an egg is laid, it's a daraisa because it started being formed on Shabbos. Then every other Yom Tov scenario, that's a decree. But initially, it's the initial Isser is a daraisa. And according to Rabbi Yosef, it's entirely a decree. There's no daraisa here. It's a decree because I might compare that to a case of I might think if I could take an egg that falls from a hen, I could go to my apple tree and pick the fruit on the floor. And that's what the Gemara is thinking. Now,
what would one do with the egg on Sunday?
What do you mean? You know that? Leave it. Just leave it. Maybe you could put like some. You mean how to protect it?
No, like if I'm not going to eat the egg, but I got these eggs that were laid on Sunday. Should I? Can you?
No, you leave it. I think, and you just cover it with a pail, so it doesn't get like destroyed by the chickens. And you come back the next day and you collect it.
So you can still benefit from.
Yeah. There's no.
Okay.
It's not like there was a isser. We're not charging the hen of being, transgressing Shabbos by laying an egg, right? And therefore, if someone transgresses Shabbos, we penalize the product, right? The hen is the hen; it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. We're just saying it's a technicality that you can't eat it. Therefore, you can't eat it on Shabbos. There's nothing wrong with the egg itself, and it won't be usher after Yom Tov. Good question. After Yom Tov, it's permitted to eat. Now, so Amalei Abaya, and same thing with the fruits. Fruits that fall from a tree are not inherently usher, right? If I pick a fruit from a tree, then you're talking about a big issue because I went ahead and I broke the Shabbos by picking fruit. But something which fruit which falls naturally from the tree is not a problem. After Shabbos, I could go eat it. I'm not allowed to eat it on Shabbos because I'm afraid I'm gonna eat one fruit and be like, wow, I really like this fruit, and then reach up and pick down another one. Okay, so we're comparing. So the rabbi said if the fruit that fell from the tree is forbidden, therefore the egg that fell from the hen will also be forbidden. Now Amalei Abaya asks, Peres Hanoisher and Taimamai, what's the reason? We're on the last line of Beis Amud Beis. We're about to go to the top. Amalei Abaya, Peres Hanoisher and Taimamai. So Abaya asks a following question. What is the reason that fruit that falls from the tree is forbidden? With that, we go to the top of Gimel Amud Aleph. We're on 3a on the top. The answer is, Gzeira Shema Ya'alev Yitloishi He. On that we say, it's okay, the whole reason why I'm not allowed to pick a apple that falls from the tree on Shabbos, that fell naturally from the tree on Shabbos, or Yom Tov, is because we are afraid you're going to reach up and pick another apple. He Gufa Gzeira. That itself is a decree. So the whole issue of fruit that fell from the tree is anyway a decree. And now we say, V'nan nikum nigzar gzeir l'gzeira. So how could we go say, there's over halacha, we don't make a decree on a decree. A decree is only, we only have a decree on a daraisa. We never make a decree on the decree. So in this case, it sounds like a decree on the decree, because the initial decree is, you're not allowed to pick a fruit. So the initial is a daraisa. You're not allowed to pick fruit from a tree on Shabbos. The decree is if there's fruit on the floor, the fruit on the ground that fell on Shabbos, or you're not allowed to eat it. And then now the new decree is because I'm not allowed to eat fruit from the floor, I'm not allowed to eat the chicken, I'm not allowed to eat the egg that was laid by the chicken on Yom Tov. So that's two jumps. That's a daraisa to the fruit on the floor, from the fruit on the floor over to the chicken that laid the egg. So we have an overall rule that a decree to decree we do not enact. On that we answer, Kula Chada Gezerhi. It's all one gezerah. It's all one decree. So it's not two jumps. From the isser of picking a fruit, we have two lines going. One is going that it's forbidden to have to eat fruit from the ground. Also, it's forbidden to go ahead and eat an egg that laid. Meaning the problem of an egg that's laid on Shabbos that we're afraid we are going to go ahead and meaning the same time as they made the decree that you're not allowed to eat the fruit on the ground, they made the decree the egg is forbidden. Okay. On that we come to the fourth answer. Okay, so now we had one answer. We had one answer before that we're talking about that a chicken that's talking about the problem is muksa or the problem is nailid. Then we had another answer that the problem is chana, preparation. Then we had our previous answer that the problem is that it's a gezerah, it's a decree because of fruit that fell from the tree. Now we're coming to Rabbi Yitzchak, which is the fourth answer of why is it that the egg is forbidden on Yom Tov. So Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, gezerah mishum mashkin shezavu. It's a decree because similarly to because of liquid that seeped out on Shabbos. Now, liquid that seeped out of a fruit, which is so you're not allowed to squeeze fruit juice on Shabbos. Now, if you have an overly ripe grape or olive or whatever, and there is pooling liquid on bottom of the container that it's in, that is a gezerah. You shouldn't come to drink that, because if you come to drink that, it might come to squeeze more juice. So similarly, it's the same idea that the chicken is the same idea, that just like it's a fruit, it's juice that naturally emitted from the fruit. So the same thing with the egg. It's really naturally emitted from the hen. On that we ask, and that we say, what's the reason why fruit that seeped out, fruit juice that seeped out of its fruit on Shabbos Yom Tov is forbidden? The answer is because it might come to squeeze. That is the actual decree. And not nikum nigzar gzera. Again, there's two hops. First, we have the main the Isser Daraisa of squeezing the fruit. Then we have the first decree that you can't have even fruit juice that naturally seeped out of the fruit. Then we have a second jump telling us that the actual egg is forbidden on Shabbos Yom Tov because of this first decree. So again, it's two hops, and we don't do the two second degree decrees, right? We only do first degree. Then we answer that. No, it's all the same decree. It was all enacted at the same time. Now, that is pretty much finishing our four answers. So we had four answers of why the egg is forbidden on Yom Tov, according to Beitza. Now, Kulei Krav Nachman Amri, Kimakshin. Now, now we're going to go through all the different scenarios of why each sage didn't hold of the other answer. Well, each of them obviously held their answer is better than the other one. What's the reason? So, no one agreed with Rav Nachman. That was the first answer. They were talking about Muksa and Noilid, because we had a very good question on him. We said we should bring down two cases. Okay, so that's out. Kirava. Rabba said that the problem was hachana, preparation. Nami lo yamar hachana leslu. They didn't hold of hachana. They did not hold of the Torah prohibition of preparing from Shabbos to Yom Tov, whatever the reason was. They didn't agree with Rabba. Now, El Rabbi Yosef held out it's a decree because of fruit that fell from the tree. My time, Rabbi Yitzchak. Why did he not hold like Rabbi Yitzchak that said the problem was that it was fruit, that it was a decree similar to fruit juice seeping from a fruit? So he's going to say, Rabbi Yosef held, I did not hold of the problem of fruit juice seeping from the fruit. Bea oichla operis oichla. Lafuki lamashkin delav oichla. No, the whole isser of juice seeping from the fruit is only when it comes to juice, but not the solid food. An egg and a chicken is solid food, so therefore you cannot apply that decree. It's two separate. It's two different. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak, my time like Amar Rabbi Yosef. Why is it that Rabbi Yitzchak did not hold like Rabbi Yosef? Meaning that why is it that Rabbi Yitzchak who held that it was the decree of fruit juice seeping from the fruit? Why did he not hold like Rabbi Yosef that it was the problem of fruit that fell from the tree? That if an egg, when it emits from the hen, it's enclosed, right? It's enclosed by the hen, and then it sort of pops out. Fruit juice is the same thing. It's enclosed by the fruit, and it seeps out. But the problem with a fruit that fell from the tree, the entire time it was standing, it was there, it was out in the open, and it was viewable. Therefore, it's two complete different scenarios, and you can't compare one to the other. And therefore, each of them went with their own answer. Okay, so now we finished off, we went through the four answers. And we also spoke about why each one did not hold of the other. Okay, now we're going to start asking questions on them. Now, And that we say, Rav Yochanan. Now, Rav Yochanan was also held of the case of Mashkin and Shazavu. Hold on. Who was Rav Yochanan? Rav Yochanan was the first answer. Rav Nachman. So, Rav Nachman. Yeah, okay. So, whatever the reason is that we said that Rav Yochanan holds like Rav Yitzchak. Rav Yitzchak is the one that gave us the last answer. Basically, Rav Yitzchak is the fourth answer, that the reason why the egg is forbidden on Yom Tov is because of the fruit. It's a decree of the fruit that's seeped from fruit juice, and a chicken being laid from a hen is similar. However, Rav Yitzchak also has Rav Yochanan on his side. We're going to prove that Rav Yitzchak has the same concern. Rav Yochanan has the same concern of Rav Yitzchak, that an egg which is laid on Shabbos is a decree, it is forbidden. And Yom Tov, egg which is laid on Shabbos Yom Tov is forbidden because it's a decree because of fruit juice that's seeped from the fruit. Because as follows. So Afram the Yochanan Savar Gzeira Misham Mashkin Shazavu. The Rabbi Yochanan Rami de Rabbi Yehuda ad Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yochanan had a contradiction between one saying of Rabbi Yehuda to another saying in the name of Rabbi Yehuda. Umeshani, and he gave his own answer. But now this is the case. Tanan we learned as follows. We do not squeeze peiros on Shabbos or Yom Tov to remove juice. It's forbidden. And if fruit juice seeps out of fruit by itself, it'll be forbidden. Rabbi Yehuda holds, if the fruit is set aside for it to be eaten, meaning, let's say I have grapes, and grapes could be used for one or two things. Either it could be squeezed for its juice, or it could be eaten as grapes. Now, if these grapes are set aside to be eaten regularly, therefore, you're not allowed to eat the fruit juice that's seeped from it, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, I have a nice bowl on my table of grapes. Now, if I go to the bottom of the bowl and I start taking out the quote-unquote fruit juice that's seeped from it, no one's really concerned that that the grapes which are set aside to be eaten regularly, I'm going to start squeezing each and every one. Okay, so it's no problem. You're going to take a little bit of the fruit juice. You're not going to come to squeeze it. However, in Mashkin, but if I go to my winery and I take out a little bit and I have a vat full of grapes ready to be pressed and they already seeped, it usually does happen. If you go to a winery, the grapes sitting there, there's a nice puddle on the bottom usually already, and I start drinking that, then when I'm afraid these grapes are set aside to be squeezed, so I'll start squeezing them. The Mashkin mehen masura, so that logically makes sense. Alma, we see from here, we see from here, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that all food which is already separated but not new. So we see from the idea that according to Rabbi Yehuda, achila, the idea is overall, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if something is set aside, the whole idea is that any food, even if it's contained within the grapes, it's still called separated food. It's not noilid. There's no problem of muksa. The only problem is I might come to squeeze. Therefore, he lets you eat. So if it's set aside for eating, or as long as I'm not afraid you're going to come to squeeze it, it's permitted to go to eat it, and there's no problem of muksa, and we're not going to ever be afraid that we view the fruit juice that's seeped out on Shabbos as something, as a problem of being of something new. Now, Verminu, and I'll ask on that we say estira. Vaydam Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda also says, Masna Adam al Kala shal Peiros b'yontai for Rishon v'achal b'sheni. The case is that we're talking about you have a basket of tevel. So you have a basket in front of you on Yom Tov. On the first day of Rosh Hashanah is the case, and in front of you, you're not sure, and you want to separate it in order to be able to. You want to separate the chumas and the maestris in order to eat it. Now, one is not allowed to do that on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to separate the chumas and maestris on Yom Tov, right? So what do? You can make a tanai. You could go ahead and say that the tanai goes as follows. You could say that if today, as follows. You say that now Rosh Hashanah is 2 days, right? So first we think, according to Rabbi Yehuda at least, the reason why it's 2 days is because we're not sure which day is Rosh Hashanah, like any other Yom Tov, like any other 2-day Yom Tov. So I can say that if today is Rosh Hashanah, if today is regular weekday, then I want to separate. I'm going ahead and I'm separating the Meiser, Trumas Meiser from the basket, and I could go ahead and eat the basket. And then you say, if today is Yom Tiv, but today is really Yom Tiv, and tomorrow is Sunday, then I'm going to separate it tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to be, and tomorrow I'm separating it, and then tomorrow I'm separating it, and meaning I'm going to separate it tomorrow, I can eat it tomorrow. Meaning, so I have a basket of fruit, let me phrase it, I have a basket of fruit sitting in front of me. I can't eat it because I didn't take off 2 Meisters. I'm standing and I'm on Rosh Hashanah. So on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, I could say, if today's really Kollel, and I'm separating it, and therefore tomorrow I could eat it. Why can I eat tomorrow? Because I separated it today. And if today is really Kodesh, it's really holiday, and tomorrow is the weekday, I'm going to separate it tomorrow. Therefore, tomorrow, when I come to the next day, you're covered either way. Because when I show up so let's say the first day of Shana is Sunday, second day is Monday. When I show up to Monday, either I separated it yesterday, which was weekday, and that was fine, if today's Yom Tiv. And if today isn't Yom Tiv, I'm going to re-separate it today, and it's for sure fine. So you're covered by both sides. That's what he holds. Now, on that we say a chicken which laid an egg on the first day of Yom Tiv, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, I can eat on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Now, and that we see. Now, again, it's the same reasoning, right? Because if an egg is laid on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, I can eat on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, because if the first day of Rosh Hashanah is Yom Tiv, and the second day is not Yom Tiv, then it's fine. It's like eating any egg after Yom Tiv. And if the first day of Yom Tiv isn't Yom Tiv, and it's really the second day, then the egg was laid on a weekday, so what's the problem? So he's comparing that case. He's comparing the case of an egg, which is laid on Yom Tiv, to the issue of the fruits in the baskets.
But if it's 2 days,
so it's
Yom Tiv is 2 days, then each day is Yom Tiv.
So according to Rabbi Yehuda, we'll see in a minute, it's not so. He's viewing Rosh Hashanah. The reason why we have a 2-day Yom Tiv is because it's a Sveika Diyam. We're not sure which day is Yom Tiv.
Right.
It's only really 1 day, technically. We're just keeping both to cover all. Okay, so John Perrin. Okay, so John, that's the answer. We'll get there on the next summit. Very good.
But of course, Rosh Hashanah is always 2 days.
Right. Okay, that's fine. But we'll get to the answer on the next Amud. John already spilled the beans in the chat, but we didn't see yet. What? He's reading ahead. Okay. No, I don't think so. So we're not sure what the day is, right? It's one day, day 1 or day 2. We're not sure which day it is. So we keep both. So if the egg is laid on day 1, day 2, it's going to be permitted regardless. Why? Because if Yom Tiv is day 1 and not day 2, then day 2 is permitted anyway. It's like it's really a weekday. We're just treating it as a holiday. If day 2 really is the Yom Tiv and day 1 is really weekday, then the egg ended up being laid on day 1, which is a weekday. So it's like an egg being laid on Friday. So nothing wrong with that. So therefore, we're saying that. So according to Rabbi Yehuda,
if you looked at it as one day, 2 day Yom Tiv is 1 day.
That's the answer. We'll get there.
Oh, we're gonna get there.
Yeah, we're gonna get. That was Ron's answer. Okay. All right. So, but the point is that the sheni in rishon, but according to Rabbi Yehuda, if it's laid on the first day is forbidden, right? So according to Rabbi Yehuda, obviously, an egg which is laid on Yom Tov is going to be forbidden, according to Rabbi Yehuda himself. On that we ask, but why is that a problem? The first brisa we brought, so the question is, which he doesn't speak, the Gemara doesn't speak out. The first brisa, we have, Rabbi Yehuda said that if someone squeezes fruit, if fruit juice is emitted from the fruit itself, it depends if it's set aside to be eaten, or if it's set aside to be squeezed. If it's set aside to be eaten, it's permitted. Now, why is it that fruit juice comes out of a fruit itself? If it's set aside to be eaten, it's going to be permitted. So on that we say, there's no problem of noilid. We look as if the fruit juice was already there. And the whole issue is only I might come to squeeze. That's the whole issue. Now, so therefore, if it's set aside to be eaten, then no one's going to squeeze it anyway. So that's what we see according to Rabbi Yehuda. Now, the second brisa of Rabbi Yehuda, it's talking about the egg, right? Now, the case of the egg, why is it not permitted on Yom Tiv, the first day of Yom Tiv? We're viewing an egg is not a liquid. We look as it's a solid. We eat it. So why is it that we see from here that something which is that emits from another body, in this case the egg, and it's something which is edible. You don't drink the egg, right? Usually cook it and you eat it as a solid. So that's not a liquid. So therefore, why is it, or right now we view it as a solid because it's contained around the shell. Then why is it? So we see that Rabbi Yehuda. So why wouldn't it be mutter? So again, it's getting complicated. Point is, we have Beitza number 1, and Rabbi Yehuda. Let's just focus on the question first. We have Beitza number 1. Rabbi Yehuda seems to say that if you have fruit juice that emits from a fruit set aside to be eaten and not squeezed, it will be permitted. So we see from there that something which is we look at food like it's separate. So it's not. We're not looking at the fruit juice as we're not looking as the juice that came out as being problematic at all. It's just that we might come to squeeze. Now the case of the egg. Why is the case of the egg not the same? Why is he saying? Rabbi Yehuda is saying that on the first day of Yom Tov, an egg is laid, it will be forbidden. Why is that a problem? Why are we viewing as the item that came from the hen as being problematic if by the fruit juice it wasn't a problem? That is the question. On that we answer, Umeshani, Rabbi Yochanan Muchlefes Hashita, he just switches it all around, and Rabbi Yehuda stays with the, and that's how he answers the question. So we see from here that Rabbi Yochanan is comparing the case of the egg to the case of the fruit. So we see from here, it's all one reason. The issue of the egg being asur on Yom Tov, and the issue of the fruit juice being asur on Yom Tov is one reason. And what's that reason? It's a gezerah because of squeezing. It's because it's similar to the gezerah, just like fruit juice just emitted from a fruit on Yom Tov is forbidden. Also, the egg which came from the hen will also be forbidden. But the point is, we see according to Rabbi Yochanan, he agrees to Rabbi Yitzchak, the source and the reason for an egg to be forbidden on Yom Tov is a gezerah because of mashkin shezava. It's a problem of fruit juice that seeped from a fruit on Shabbos and Yom Tov. With that, we turn to the top of Gimel Amud Beis, and we have Ravina. Ravina Amar L'Olam Lai Tipoch. Ravina says this question of Rabbi Yehuda on Rabbi Yehuda, which we just mentioned as a stira. Rabbi Yochanan said in one place Rabbi Yehuda seems to be saying that there is no problem of fruit juice that seeped from food which is set aside to be eaten. And elsewhere, by the case of the egg, it seems that he does say it's a problem. Don't change the opinions. Rabbi Yehuda l'divrayim derabanan ka'amar lu. And Rabbi Yehuda was just addressing, it's not a stira, a contradiction in the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rather, he's just addressing the words of the rabbis who he's opposing in that Beitza. He says, Lididi, afilu l'brisha nami sharia. According to me, an egg on the first day is also permitted. That's not a problem. The oichel de ifrasu, because something which is it's separate and not new. But according to you, you should admit to me that if on the second day it's permitted because we view Rosh Hashanah as two separate holidays and as two separate, it's not one long day, and therefore, if it's forbidden on the first day, at least permitted on the second day because it's only one day. Only one day is Yom Tov. So if it was late on Sunday, for sure Monday will be either because Sunday is not a holiday or because Monday is not a holiday. Either way, it will be fine. On that, the rabbis answered, "Loi kedusha achasi." No, Rosh Hashanah, we view Rosh Hashanah as one long day. The 2 days is one. Therefore, if an egg is laid on Sunday, which is Rosh Hashanah, Monday is an extension of Sunday, and it will also be forbidden. Okay, so we answer that. Now, Ravina Bereder of Ula Amar, and Ravina, the son of Ula, said, that the reason Rabbi Yehuda brought down the issue is not a contradiction in Rabbi Yehuda either. Because Yehuda is talking about we're not talking about a chicken which is set aside for to be eaten, and the whole problem of the egg and then the problem of egg coming out. Then we start talking about if we could compare it, and is it like a fruit juice was emitted from the fruit? Because then a chicken, right? But rather we're talking about that it was grown for eggs, and it's muksa. Rabbi Yehuda l'tameit isle muksa, and the whole problem for Rabbi Yehuda in the second Beitza is not because it's not the whole problem is not that we can't learn from there that Rabbi Yehuda personally holds that the new food is separate, and therefore you ask a question from the case of fruit juice seeping from the fruit. Because the case in the second brisa is specifically talking about chicken, which is being set aside for the eggs, and chicken is set aside for the eggs, regardless of the fruit juice issue, it will be a problem of muksa. For Yehuda's opinion that we learned yesterday, Yehuda's the strong opinion that held is muksa all over the place. Therefore, an egg which is laid on Shabbos from a hen which is set aside to be eaten for eggs will be naturally muksa, just like the hen itself.